Are you wearing a towel?
Yeah, I just got out the shower, man.
Oh, that's cute. I don't shower.
Yeah, to deal with your dirty ass, I'm gonna have to take a shower, man.
Heyo.
Nino, how's Alberta?
I like it out here, man. They like curling, so it's a little weird for me.
Is
Are
it
you
cold?
curling?
No, it's not that cold.
No.
No,
I
but
mean,
I didn't expect to come out here and on my off day right before a meeting have to do a fucking interview for some friends. But you guys get an interview with the towers on the head, and I love you guys. So
Oh,
nice.
thanks. Well, we wanted to discuss some stuff because Brian has some interesting shit, and you're
sure.
good at this stuff.
I
And
got all right.
I'm not. We've established I'm not inclined to discuss intelligent things sometimes. So,
Well, you're
No, no,
uh,
no, no,
bringing
no, no,
energy
no,
to
no,
that. That's
no.
all we need to know.
You could discuss that. Hey, how you doing? You could discuss anything, Scott. It's just we don't have to fucking hear you out, and we can call you out and say that you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But
so
you can discuss anything you want.
thank you.
This is
We
true.
will bully you.
This is
You
true
will
exact
bully you,
radio.
though.
Yeah, this is true exact radio. You know what I mean?
I agree. Thank you very much. Really quick before Brian gets into it, how was your birthday? Wasn't it like a couple weeks ago?
Oh, happy
Yes, my birth.
birthday.
Thank you so much. Yeah, my birthday was good, man. It was uh 2 Saturdays ago, I believe. Yeah, it was an easy day. I took it easy. I usually do a lot of work on my birthday. It's funny because I tell people the story, and I think they think that I'm exaggerating. But for my birthday, I always bought something for my parents because
Hmm.
I feel it's fucking weird. Like everybody celebrates their birthday, but like me being at my oldest niece, I was at her birth. I think it was like 10 or 11, and I just saw all the shit my sister-in-law went through, and I was like, the fuck am I celebrating a birthday for? So like now for me, I always do this with my mom and my dad. Well, rest in peace to my father. But I always go for Father's Day and Mother's Day. You're only a dad and a mom because of me. So you give me a gift. So I get two gifts.
Bingo.
Mother's Day and Father's Day, I'm the special one because you're only a fucking parent because I'm born and I stood alive. Like if I died, if I was this only kid, you know what I mean? Whatever. But my birthday, I didn't do shit but just come out of my mom's vagina. So I don't really celebrate it.
It's a very interesting way to look at it.
Were
Not
you
me. I'm
vaginal
extremely
delivery or
selfish.
C-section?
Say that again?
Were you vaginal delivery or C-section? That's a fair
C
question.
C-section.
Okay. So interesting about that. Babies that are born vaginally versus come out of C-section have different microbiomes on their skin.
100%. Yeah, the babies that are born naturally are supposed to have a better immune system. There's been countless studies on it.
Right.
Because all the shit that comes out the mom's vagina, it's like protecting them
Yeah.
essentially
It's like a
through all the
protective
shit.
layer.
Yeah, and when you clean a baby off right away, all the shit from the curtains and everything gets around the baby, the patients beforehand. So that's why they used to clean all the shit. Now, like when uh, 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 a baby's born even through C-section, they try to put stuff from the mom's stuff like on top of the baby, like all the
Yeah,
shit
so
that we saw.
they're still studying that based on like immunity and like if there is a better like for longevity like coming out vaginally versus C-section, if there is a discrepancy there, and like are some kids having more like vitality based off of where they come out of. Something
Yeah, the
interesting.
bacterial starter colonies. Yeah, like all from a natural birth. Yeah, I read up. I took I took a microbiology course on this app called Coursera, and sure enough, they started talking about natural
He's plugging
births.
something, kick him off. He's plugging something. Get off. Get off. We don't do plugs here. Get out.
Who's plugging? Who's
Uh,
plugging?
You,
Apparently,
of course, you're our
Coursera.
Coursera.
the app.
Plugging
What
his
did
ass.
what did I do?
You
I'm
plugged an
kidding. I'm
app.
kidding.
She's
Oh, I
kidding.
plugged an app.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. I'm such an analog guy. I was like, well, who's plugging what? What are y'all plugging? I'm
Two things.
sorry
One,
about that.
I
Yeah.
was also a C-section, little known fact. Two,
Mhm.
actually, I was a planned C-section, and my mom wanted me born on October 20th, but that's Mickey Mantle's birthday. And my dad was like, absolutely not. You will not be born on Mickey Mantle's day. So we're doing it the
Your dad hated
21st.
you.
So he made it
That's
the
interesting.
21st instead. Two, that's very kind of you about your birthday, but I, on the other hand, expect everything for my birthday. And if
Right.
people don't wish me happy birthday, I
Well,
kind
you want a reward for nothing. I mean, that's just who
exactly.
you are. So I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, you named me. You named me. You pushed me out. Where's my gifts?
Exactly.
I'm
You know
the
what I mean?
annoying
That's you.
girl that's like, I don't have a birthday. I have a birthday month.
Oh, I hate those women. Yeah, I don't like those type of chicks.
Those people are the worst.
That's
Okay.
you. I have a birthday month.
Okay. That's very nice. So we learned about babies and microcosm,
Resident
whatever.
I didn't. Hey,
resident
Scott.
microbes.
Hey,
Right.
Scott. This time it wasn't my fault. I didn't bring up
It's all well and
microbiome.
good. This is why, we haven't spoken like a year on an episode. This is why we like having you on, because we get anything, everything and everything. Books to baby saliva or whatever.
You get about 10 people leaving the viewership right now.
Yeah.
Like they're just like, all right, I'm out.
But you know what? No editing, because it's fun and it's like a backyard cookout barbecue. Brian, go on.
Did you guys hear about the cargo ship that was owned by JPMorgan that got seized with $1.3 billion worth of cocaine on it?
Someone's trying to party. That's all I'm hearing.
20 tons of cocaine.
I don't remember the amount of I don't remember the amount of weight it was. But also look, JPMorgan was scum, right? But here's another thing: who else is gonna own the cargo? So like, if the Vanderbilts have all the steel and all their shit, and they own, let's just say whoever owns trains, and people find like, contraband in those trains, is it those people running ship, or is like, who else are we gonna do it? Like if you and I are trafficking shit, Brian, on United Airlines, and we traffic. Yeah, like nobody's gonna be like, yo, United Airlines, man, they were doing all this shit. But yeah, I did read about that. I didn't know that was that much weight. That's crazy.
It's a lot. It was crazy.
But it's a lot, yeah.
What's the backstory? I'm not up to go, Brian.
No, there was no I don't think there was any real backstory on it. It's just it was interesting that it's something that it gets passed by in headlines. It's like just one of the articles that you'll scroll past.
That's
like
crazy.
Yahoo News or some shit. Like you just see like a little thing about it. It's not like a big thing.
Yo, you know what's crazy about JPMorgan? Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
No. What's crazy though is like, this, like the cocaine, like was it in its powder form? Was it in its like plant form? Because like if it's like powder form, that's a lot. That sounds like a lot of work. Like, damn, you really had to work to get like X amount of pounds of powder out.
Yeah, I mean,
well, if it's in cargo, they just load it up like they load up anything. No.
Yeah.
Like it's not that. Yeah.
Well, they're just gonna all that. Someone had to process
but that's shipped.
Yeah, but the thing
that's
is,
like I don't think you're assuming that they were running the factory, right?
Like, I'm assuming they were running.
Think about it like this.
Yeah, for real, it's crazy.
The thing is, it gets packed into those cargo containers,
right? Like on the insides of like
those big cranes come on, they just offload them and they put them right on tractor trailers, and then they're just fucking out. That's it.
Yeah. But I like her idea. Her idea is like they were in on the leaves and she's like, so these people were clearly running the agricultural operation in South America correctly, right? Because a cargo in North America leads to the agricultural cocaine operation in South America. I like her mind. Her mind's crazier than mine, which is insane.
Well, speaking of that, not to cut you off, but I'm going to cut you off anyway. Laws are very different in international waters. So technically they could be running a cocaine, like it's kind of like agricultural boat, theoretically. Like that could probably fly in theoretical waters.
Every Narcos I've ever watched, there was an agricultural chapter, that there was this or that. But look, it is what it is. The JPMorgan thing I always found interesting was I think he was supposed to be on the Titanic and magically caught a cold. So I always thought that was kind of funny. And I think also like a company he owned helped build the Titanic, and there was all these wealthy people on the Titanic. I always thought that was an interesting one.
Oh, that's the Titanic Conspiracy, right? That like the three people the rich people weren't on it, who funded it or something.
Yeah, John Ascott the third or whatever his name was, he was like the wealthiest man in the world. Depending on what you view as wealth, I think it was based on assets. I forgot his name, and he was on that boat. And there was some real rich people. I mean, look, it was a promoted fucking event, so rich people are going to be there anyway. But evidently, there was supposed to be some gathering and some meeting there to argue about the Federal Reserve. And JPMorgan was pushing the Federal Reserve. Some of the rich dudes didn't want Federal Reserve, and JPMorgan was supposed to be on that boat. And didn't end up on that boat. So like, that's kind of like that's kind of some funky shit. You know what I mean? Great. This right now is not good PR for JPMorgan's legacy. Cocaine and cargo. Why wasn't you in the Titanic, dude? This is pretty good right here. I love it.
It's the same shit like the day before 9/11, Rumsfeld saying $1.3 trillion went missing.
Right.
And then
A
they
lot
just
of weird
happened to
shit.
blow up the room with the records in it the next day.
Yeah, I also think
Did
it's all.
9/11.
I also think it, like when shit happens, you start to connect shit that you shouldn't have connected. So like,
Yeah.
so like if we're all hanging out and then like one of us does some crazy shit like 3 days later, we're just gonna look at that dinner completely different. We'll be like, yo, Scott didn't eat all his wings.
Well, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like, let's say like you just did like some impulsive shit and like murdered someone or whatever, like that Friday night in Applebee's, like if you did it on a Sunday, or you wouldn't do it on a Sunday because it's football day most
I go
likely.
to
But let's
Applebee's
say it's a
on
Monday.
Thursday nights. I go to Applebee's Thursday.
Okay,
night.
Thursday night. Okay, so let's say you committed the murder on a Monday or Saturday, and then they start asking me, Brian, and Ellie questions and shit. I have a feeling like we'll all over analyze like the way you looked at the menu. We're like, I don't know, Scott, and he didn't sit in the normal chair. Like all of a sudden, he did ask the waitress like a weird question, and was just like, yeah, this shit was fucking planned, yo. You know what I mean?
Oh, no.
Wait a minute. If Scott commits murder, I'm just saying we all need to wait until there's like, some kind of $5,000, $10,000 for any information, and then we divulge what we know. We are going to wait for that Crime Stoppers or whatever
I'm right
dollar
here.
amount and split it.
I can
You know
hear
what?
Okay,
Not too long ago, there was a picture that was circulating around of a guy who robbed banks,
Yo,
and it looked exactly
Nino,
like
I'll
Scott. It
send
was
it to you.
ridiculous.
It
Oh, I
was
wanna see it.
absurd. I will send it to you. It was absurd.
It's spot on.
My friend texted me, was like, "Where were you yesterday?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" And he sent me the picture, and it looks like me with like my face kind of covered up to here.
You know what would have been funniest, Scott, if you were like, well, I went to the bank.
Yeah. I'm on a flight to Fiji. What do you mean?
Right, I'm in the Canary Islands. Like,
Made a quick stop at a few banks.
Yeah.
I had to go to I was looking for a new bank account, and your friends are like,
That's interesting you say that though, where you put things together. So like banking or segueing from what Brian was talking about with the JP Morgan stuff, and like you string things together. The human mind can play tricks type thing. I feel we do that with when people die. We look at like, oh, my mom died on December 3rd, and whoa, the clock's 12:03. Like how many
you ever heard of the Rashomon effect? Has anybody heard of that?
I've not. Go on.
The Rashomon effect is it's used in court too, but it's from a movie called I forgot what I think it's called, Rashomon. And the Rashomon effect, no, it's something else, but they call it the Rashomon effect based on the character, or the event. But the Rashomon effect is basically 8 of us. They've done movies like this. 8 of us see the same event, but we all, tell it differently. Yeah. So like a car accident, like, excuse me, I actually was a part of that. Because not the Rashomon movie, I wasn't alive, but there was a car accident in a highway, and I actually I was like the 3rd or the 4th caller, and I pulled out and just looked like something was really messed up. And when I got out, like they were asking everybody questions, and they asked me questions, and then he asked me, did this and this happen? And I was like, that's not what I saw. I saw this and this. He's like, Jesus Christ, nobody has the same story. He just looked me dead in the face and said that. So yeah, the Rashomon effect is very interesting because, I think, I also think it's, fight or flight. Like, I also think if we all saw a moment, like we all saw a crazy event, the trauma is going to fucking kick in. A bunch of shit's going to kick in. We're not all going to just like, I was telling my friend the other day about those pilots where you hear the black boxes where they're just kind of just like, yeah, we're going down. Yeah, engines blown out. Yeah, this and that. And it's not like the last 10 seconds where you're like, fuck, but like the first 10 minutes of like all the fucking crazy shit happening on that plane, he's just like super calm. Like most of our brains aren't wired like that. We're just not like super calm during a crazy event. So we're all going to slowly remember it and recount it a little bit differently. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what I think it is.
So yeah, now with the mind playing tricks and whatnot, and obviously there's so many conspiracies out there, not to delve on conspiracies, but you're someone who questions things. And Brian always was too. And I've come around recently. I watch like the Y Files now on YouTube. A little plug for that because I think that's one of the best shows on YouTube. How many conspiracies? Let's say there's 100 in the world that have happened in the past 100 years. How many do you think are actually like conspiracy wise out of the 100? And how many you think like we just kind of make up percentage wise? And not to like delve into specific things like 9/11. But basically, here's
Oh,
you know what I'm
oh
saying? Like,
no. Well. I mean, just what do you mean? Like, as far as
okay,
how many conspiracies are valid?
like yeah, like JFK thing. Everyone's
I
like it's
mean,
fake,
the
things
pro.
like that.
No, not everyone. A court proved it, so it's not just like people were just thinking it. But I think I go ahead, Ellie. Okay.
No, no. Well, one thing too is, and like this is like they teach you this in like any kind of like psychology class. Correlation is not always causation. We will correlate things because we like we like to be able to have an explanation for everything, but
True.
sometimes some things don't have an explanation. But human nature, for whatever reason, we want a definitive, like concrete explanation of why X, Y, and Z happened in ABC order. But so we will try to make things correlate and that don't actually correlate or cause each other. So just because it happens that these two things are trending the same does not mean they actually influence each other. So you have to be mindful of that as well, which a lot of people aren't. They see correlation, they think causation, and vice versa. It's like, nope, that's not always the case. Most of the time, it's not the case.
Yeah, but I agree. That's also a form of conspiracy. Like, there's many different forms of it. Like, it's almost like socialism. People just think socialism is like one thing. There's different versions of socialism. Like, communist, Maoist is not the same thing as Marxist or Leninism. You know, capitalism looks very different in Scandinavia than it looks here because there's less people and the way they run, and it's run with a different social structure than there is here. So, like,
Right.
everybody just thinks of conspiracies as one fucking hat, and it's like there's different hats. You have the Gulf of Tonkin. You have the blowing up of the Maine in the late 1800s. You have Operation Northwoods. That's a little different. Like where there's investigative journalism going, hey, we've looked into this. There seems to be more than what that's on the surface. And then now that's boxed in with the same fuckers that's doing exactly what Ellie's talking about, which is, well, since this happened, and then one of the things I remember one time talking to a professor, and he was telling me something really interesting because I was connecting dots similar to how Ellie's describing. And he was like, don't misread people who take advantage of a tragedy as starting the tragedy. Just because you're willing to go, hey, this is an opportunity here for us to profit. So say, oh, these billionaires got billionaires off COVID. That means they planned it. It's like, well, also don't misread a bunch of people going, hey, how can we profit off of this? Because I instantaneously woke up during the pandemic and saw a fucking outbreak and this and that, and all of a sudden these movies became hits. They were like number ones on my algorithms, and I never even wanted to watch any of this shit. There was nothing but virus outbreaks popping up on everything. So corporations was like, we are pandemic friendly, order pizza and save the world. So it's like, don't misread people who want to profit and take advantage of these specific circumstances as being the ones who caused it. So that's one aspect. But to, Scott, to your question, I think, that's the thing. It's crazy Ellie brought that up. But yeah, there's that, which is the people who just go, this doesn't sound right, but they don't have no real information. And then there's shit that's like a conspiracy, like for a long time, and all of a sudden it becomes a thing. The Gulf of Tonkin that started the war with Vietnam was a conspiracy for a while. And in the 90s or the early 2000s, Colin Powell was like, yeah, they flat out admitted that it was a false flag operation. So that was a conspiracy for 40, 50 years. Operation, I think, Northwoods, the shit where they were trying to make Cubans out to be terrorists and hijack airplanes and shoot up theaters. That was a well orchestrated plan. Like what's his name? Ted Kennedy in like the 80s and 90s talks about that on a fucking 60 Minutes interview. And he's like, yeah, my brother, this guy was a congressman. And he's like, yo, we got wind of this crazy plan and we kind of put a stop to it. So it's like, these things, if you, that's there with, did we land on the moon? Did this, did that? Are we reptilians? Are we lizards? Those are different hats to me. You know what I mean?
The Solarian theory. I'm a big fan of that, actually. So
yeah, so like that's my answer. Like there's to me there's validity in anything that's investigative, because if you look into something, sure, you can kind of want to tell yourself what it is, but if you look into something long enough and you plug in holes and shit, I don't look at that as conspiracy. I look at that as investigative.
Okay.
Right. Well, they say that Bay of Pigs was like an inside job set up to make Kennedy look bad to get him out of office.
Yeah.
Like that was like intentionally set up to like for those soldiers to die, to go into a freaking wasp nest. And also the CIA putting drugs in low income Black and brown neighborhoods in LA, 1000% proven true.
Yeah, not just
percent
LA,
sure.
all over the world.
Right, right, not just LA, right? But they
yeah.
started there, but yeah, but that was people like that was a rumor for the longest time, and it's
That's
like,
not even a look right now, Ellie. That's not even a conspiracy no more.
No,
That's
it's
in
been
Snowfall.
confirmed.
That's like in TV shows now. They're just like putting that in movies now. It's crazy.
Even though like they just
How about
confirmed,
that?
oh, yeah, we did that. Yeah, he
Yeah,
did
but
that.
how about
Yeah.
how about the one where they gave groups of like black people
Oh,
syphilis,
syphilis?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's been
and they
confirmed.
told
Yeah.
doctors not to treat them because they wanted to see what would happen.
Yeah, that's confirmed. I mean, the main we went into war with Spain in the late 1800s. Look, one thing America's good at is false flag operations. I mean,
Well,
and
look at
we
the
picked
war in Iraq. That was
that shit. Yeah,
oh, they've got WMDs. They have mustard gas in a couple 9-volt batteries. Like,
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, it's one of the false flag operations is it's a playbook, right? The British, the French, like it's one of the things to justify invasion. So he's like, these people attacked us. Well, did they? I mean, that's been around. That's as old as empires, as old as the Assyrian Empire. So, I mean, these are certain things. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I was talking to Ilmac. You've interviewed? Did you interview Ilmac on this yet, Scott?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was talking to Ilmac the other day, and I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, you guys are all these flat earthers, blah blah blah. And I was like, you know what the flat earthers have done? They've sort of created like the bottom, like they've lowered the middle to the bottom. So now you're going, okay, Earth's flat. No astronomers across the world 6,000 years ago saw the reflection of the moon on Earth, and I question everything. Whatever, nothing's spherical, everything's just fucking fake. But what they've done is they put the middle to the bottom. So now flat Earth, they're at the bottom, and all the shit that went to the middle is like, hey, Julian Assange, hey, Edward Snowden, hey, all this shit. So like now the bottom has went to the middle. So you watch mainstream people now are like, this pandemic is a hoax. Like this and that. Because so somebody was talking to me and I was telling Ilmac this, they were like, these flat earthers are fucking shit up and yada yada yada. And I was like, no, they never do, because what happens is they take the middle and they replace the middle, and now they're at the bottom. So all these people who think we're lizards and we're all, being made, or we're in a pod right now, whatever the fuck, or they're arguing over dimensions, they're now the bottom, and the middle is sort of like mainstream now. So like all the shit Ellie's talking about now is like, and we're talking about here, none of this is crazy now. Now it's like on episode 3 on Prime. I have PBS now. I have PBS now because one of my nieces uses my nephews use my Amazon Prime. So they had to add PBS for some shit. And I was like, this is fucking cool. I didn't know PBS had all this cool shit.
They have this shit called Eons on PBS. It's like
I haven't watched that.
That's a good show. It's like just a 20-minute thing, 10-minute thing about how mankind tamed fire. And then the next episode is like how mankind, why we're right-handed over left-handed, things like that.
Right.
So fucking cool.
That's cool, and that's mainly because we all jerk off. But no, I'm just now the craziest thing was on PBS. They're like the 5 journalists, investigative journalists, collab on this document. It's called Pegasus, and they're like, the Israeli government selling this surveillance thing and selling this surveillance technology to all these governments called Pegasus, and this is how they're surveilling them. So I was like, this is fucking weird. And they have this crazy shit to where they're describing that murder that happened in Turkey from the Saudi elites or whatever, that journalist, and they're kind of connected it to like say that Saudi used Pegasus, which is crazy. Then in PBS they had another thing called of predictive policing. So they're showing like a police department in Detroit and I believe in Chicago, like while we're doing this right now, using algorithms to predict and arrest people based on like their proximity, their patterns, their circles, yada yada yada, and they're like some Minority Report shit. They're arrested and they're like, we're 93% accurate, we're 96% accurate. We can trace the crimes, or we could have stopped all these crimes. And now currently, as we're all talking, not in the future, a police department in Detroit is using predictive policing to arrest criminals who are sitting at home with their families or whatever, eating food, and they're just like, you're gonna commit a crime, and
that's like Minority. It's like Minority Report.
Yeah. It's basically Minority Report. But I found this on PBS. But to the point I was trying to make was like, all of these things, when I wrapped these on Illuminati Reject, was like insane. People thought I was crazy. People were like, oh, whatever the fuck, whatever I would talk about this 10 years ago. People were like, what are you talking about? You fucking madman. Now PBS
Yeah.
Because of all the
right.
bottom, the bottom has went to the bottom, and now the things that used to be in the bottom are now at the middle. So I'm kind of glad the way this is happening.
Well, you're explaining though, it's kind of crazy because what you just explained, and even the past 10 minutes when you were talking about government officials that have actually come out and said things were conspiracies, things were planned, but they still try to paint, let's say, someone like you or people who just state the facts as crazy. Like, I find that as nuts as anything. So, like, how do you guys think it still works if the facts are actually out there, but nobody just wants to believe it? Like, is it just humans are just stupid?
You
We're
sound
just
like the X-Files guy. Truth is out there.
I mean, Brian, do you think we're just dumb as humans?
No, I don't think we're just dumb. I think that we're conditioned. Like, all right, not to go deep into it, but like if you look at a lot of symbolism in like the Matrix movies, like Agent Smith, we all have an Agent Smith in our mind that's been installed there since we were little kids. And it's there because when weird shit happens and you start to think about this, right? When you have a conversation with someone about any of this stuff, even 5 years ago, you can sit there and you could talk to that person and they'll be friendly with you and everything, but the second you say something about, oh, do you think 9/11 was maybe like a conspiracy, you see Agent Smith turn up and they're like, what? No, I don't know, I don't want to talk about that. It immediately turns you off to it, and that has been placed there since we were little kids and we didn't realize it. Like, you don't really know. And you could see it like when you have conversations with people. Like if I go somewhere and I say, hey, listen, right? So like this is not, for me, it's not outlandish to think this or say this. I don't understand why anyone believes in any person that is in our government at any fucking level. I don't care who it is. It makes no sense to me because, dude, think about it. When we really started paying attention to politics, right? Let's just say maybe like freshman year in high school. That's 2001. It is 2023. We are still arguing over the same issues. Abortion. Should gay people get married? What the fuck are they doing? But for some reason, the debt ceiling in this country needs to be raised every 4 fucking years because they can't control the money. Where does all the money go? Because it's not fixing the Flint, Michigan water. It's not fixing crime in every major city that we have. We're a big fucking shopping mall and they're there to profit. And for anyone that thinks that anyone is stepping into any position in government, I don't give a fuck what level, like I said, and that they're there to help you. No, they want your vote because they want to make money. That's what they're there for.
Did Ellie leave?
She's walking her dog. She's
Oh,
listening.
okay, cool.
She's listening.
Oh yeah, she's like, I'm tired of not of being,
No.
like somebody. She's like, I'm tired of someone as smart as me on here. This is terrible.
Ellie's
she's
Ellie's more left wing, and I think she's starting to change a little bit. So she wanted to leave.
No, she's not. No, she's not.
No,
I
I'm
can
not.
hear her
I
right now.
don't.
I hear
I
you,
am not
Ellie.
very smart, so don't be. Don't
just-
feel like you're really splitting the. I'm not really splitting the atom over here, but thank you.
But listen, but what
Nah,
I'm
you're
saying
good.
though is listen, I'm not trying to rag on him personally at all. But if
Wait,
anything,
him who?
this presidency should show how much nonsense goes on.
But yo, Brian, look, the thing that you were talking about and having all these sort of dated things be brought up and they sort of like, get regurgitated and so on and so forth. One of the reasons for that is because the political system in itself is dated. So a lot of these things, a lot of these things have been like even just the left-right political sector that comes from France, right? So like during the French Revolution, the aristocrats was on one side and all these anti-state people were on another. And we're still sort of running this same, two extreme polar opposite sides, just ping-ponging ideas back and forth. So when you have like institutions that are dated, like the dollar, like we still have a lot of shit, like, and democracy's dated in a sense, and the way the political system is, this whole linear bullshit, it's a dated thing. Now, I think it was Churchill, and I make fun of Churchill all the time. But I think it was Churchill that said, democracy is the best choice out of all the worst options, something or whatever. But there's nothing more fitting than that. And you know, that's one of these things when you have a political system, Brian, that's just run on funding, and the main thing you need to be your main qualification has to be fundraising, and it's basically ran like some prom king and queen shit. And all of a sudden, you know, you get in and they're like, well, we need you to fucking answer all the questions. It's like, well, hold on. I was just trying to raise money and raise votes. I was just talking about this a little earlier. The system's going to be, you know, it's never going to be on an even kill. It's going to be imbalanced. And also a lot of old people too. I mean, that's one thing that, you know, you look at young civil rights activists in the 60s and shit, and hippies or whatever the fuck. One thing they got right was like, these old people shouldn't be making all these choices. They're not going to be around. Now, it's important to lean on them for wisdom, because as far technology could develop and intelligence, you know, whatever is relative. But the one thing you can't lean on is wisdom. You talk to an old person, you could have a healthy conversation. But, you know, one thing with old people too is they can be a little out of touch. So the world, it's hard to parent. I have a lot of siblings. I have cousins who have kids. And it's hard for them to parent for a world that they can't tell. Like, my parents have more in common with me than, by the way, both of my parents were in their 40s when they had me. But think about this. My parents have more in common with me and my upbringing than a 20-year-old or than a 30-year-old parents have with a kid these days. Reason being, Brian, and Scott and Ellie, like, I could, I could, you know, somebody these days can be, well, let me tell you how we did Instagram when I was a kid. Well, let me tell you how I operated in the tech. Well, let me tell you how I handled that. You're prepared. You're in a world that you're trying to prepare a child for a world that you're completely unfamiliar with. Yeah. So, you know,
not to cut you off real quick. There was somebody that said this is the first generation of kids where like older people have nothing for them. Like absolutely nothing.
Well, I disagree in a sense of, again, I think that as where everybody talks about development, technological development, what we're seeing human beings have a void of is wisdom. And that wisdom is ancient. It's not new. All these law of attractions and positivity, man, and go enjoy nature, ayahuasca, these are old things too. But this is where the wisdom was, right? These are where the colonialists will look at these indigenous groups and go, the fuck is wrong with these people? They just want to stare at trees all day. And I live in California and I live near a city. And let me tell you something, motherfuckers want to go hiking. They want to go to nature. They don't want to breathe fresh air. They're trying to do all this shit. Look, these days you have all these people that go, you know, that are discovering like mindfulness and shit. And they're like, I'm doing this new thing called yoga. You know, it's like, it's not new, bro. This shit is 3,000 years old. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's because the wisdom there's a void in the wisdom. With all this technological development, you know, I have a friend who's from Zambia. His name is Chalala. And one thing he told me was, you know, I grew up in Zambia in Africa. It's very poor. But I'll tell you what we never had: boredom. When we were 6 years old, we was never bored. Go find me a kid with an iPad at 6. Mom, what do I do? I'm bored. You got 7-year-olds that are bored now. So it's like you have all this development, but yet there's still voids. There's boredom, lack of community, wisdom, and that's some shit you could always learn from old people. You know what I mean? And I would say old people in general, because some old people don't know shit. Yeah, older people, yeah. Or people who value that. But that's wisdom. That's not some youthful shit. Young kids are like, fuck that. Go VR. You can go wherever you want. You want to go hiking? You go hiking wherever you want. Just put on the metaverse, right? Like, that's some young shit. But you talk to some motherfuckers that are 40s or in their 50s and have some wisdom, they have a lot. I'm friends with Daniele Bolelli, who y'all should have in one of y'all podcasts. Really good dude. He's been on Rogan 10 times. I get off the phone with him and I feel like I just learned 30 new things. And all he did was tell me, yeah, man, just fucking have friends and talk to them and don't be selfish. And I'm like, I forgot about those things. Those are the fucking things that I learned when I was in 3rd grade. But with all this shit here, it starts to sort of override all the wisdom that our parents are trying to teach us. A lot of the shit that, and you know, I don't want to talk too much, but which I already done, but a lot of the shit that people have voids of, to be honest, are simple shit like our teachers and parents told us, which is, hey, try to be a part of something, find people with things in common, this and that, go out, have fun, run around, yada, 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 whatever. The good things that the people before us, they gave us these values that little did they know the world was going to go, that's not as interesting anymore, but there's never been more of a void for it. Social media literally has the word social in it, and everybody's alone. So
Yeah.
so I think there's this synthesized idea that we're living in this more connected world because everybody's staying at a fucking rectangle, but there's no connection. Like I think I told y'all this story before. You guys went and told me another one, but I'll repeat it again because I'm already on here. But I remember having a group of Facebook friends of kids that I grew up with playing baseball and all this shit. And I thought I knew their lives just because I saw their posts and I messaged on Facebook. We hung out one time and I was like, I don't know any of these motherfuckers no more. I thought I knew what was going on with their life. I had no idea. You know what I mean? And that's the gig right there.
I agree with that. It's becoming more distant. Even like you just talk about parenting too. Like I wouldn't even want to be a teacher. I feel like that's even hard now with just how the kids are programmed. It's just hard. Everything's harder, man. It's just like
real quick, and I'm gonna wrap this up. Full circle.
Go.
I think the political system is also dated. Like, all of this to me is connected. And you have this political system that's just gonna come back around and go, well, what about our rights? What about freedom of speech? What about guns? What about this? It's because there's these 5 little talking points and then just gonna keep circling and going around and around and around. There's all these voids that are always gonna exist with people. They're always going to want to be a part of something. But now you're right about teaching. My dad was a teacher, and I remember he told me, he's like, I feel bad for teachers in the future. Like, it's not the same gig anymore. So yeah, you're right about that.
Yeah, I don't want to keep you too long too, Nino, and it's a little late over here. So, but I do want to get you on another time. We won't touch on it.
Yeah, I got like 5 minutes. I got like 5 to 7 minutes if you want to, talk shit, whatever. I'm here. Bro.
I do want to touch on just if you can, how you guys got the Pat Stay event together, because I know it might be longer than 5 minutes, so if it takes too long,
whatever. I'm here. I'm not, bro. I'm not.
But just really quick, really quick on it.
I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I ordered it. It was really cool. Got a little emotional watching, just as a fan seeing Holohan come out. And it was tough to watch, man. It was really tough to watch. You guys did a good job. I know you were instrumental in setting it up with organic, and I'm sure a lot of people, so just talk about that for 5 minutes, how it went, how you thought it would go. Did it all go better than you expected?
Oh, it went way better than expected. And I mean, look, like the thing is when Ganic wanted to do it initially, my heart wasn't in it just because the last thing I wanted to do was think about fucking battle rap. You know what I mean? I was like, we lost our friend, yeah. But the main thing that allowed all of us to want to really like Hollow the Don, me, whatever. And it wasn't just me. Sharon was instrumental. He's the one that was making calls to URL. So was Hollow. And, I went and helped get Jen. I went and helped get Hollahan on it and Diz and shit like that. But Ilmac, yeah. But it was about raising money. So it was like raising money to this culture that sort of made Pat who he was. And Ganic was like, do you want to be a part of it? And I was like, yeah, I'll be a part of it. If every dollar's going to Melissa and the kids, and then I'm with it. So yeah, I'm glad that you watched it. I'd like to know your thoughts on it, whether it's here or later. But it was a beautiful event. It was 2 days. And every artist put on. I mean, for such a weird culture to all of a sudden, like, Ganic made this point. He was like, you don't see I don't know, fucking race car drivers going, hey, we're all gonna race for free because we lost Jeff or whatever, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of, so you had a bunch of battle rappers donate their purses to the family of this guy. And I think that just like, it showed empathy in this sport that like people just use mean words and, they get paid to insult their coworkers, you know what I mean? So I thought that was beautiful. I'd like to know your thoughts. I don't know if Brian saw it, but I'd like to know your thoughts of the event.
Personally, like I would say, I never talked to Pat. We messaged a few times. He was actually one of the first people to reach back out to me for the podcast. So it was like you and him at the same time, but like the timing never worked out. We never got a chance to like talk. It would have been awesome. I would have loved that, Mom. But he was one of the few battle rappers you felt like you knew, even though you didn't know, and that's why I think it hurt. Like I remember, like I was actually with Ren Thomas the night before it happened, and we were bullshitting, and like, because it happened September, like the day after Labor Day, around there. Labor Day?
It happened September 4th.
Right. So like woke up in the morning, like it was crazy because I think Diabolic actually called Ren, like
Man, yeah.
FaceTimed him that night. So we were all like, oh, hey, what's up? And then that morning it happened. It's fucking wild. And
Yeah.
just getting the
Yeah.
text. And I know I didn't text you for like 3 weeks because I was like,
Right,
oh,
right.
like I think I texted you like 3 weeks later. Like, hey man,
Right.
I know you're fucking busy and I don't want to like impose because I know you guys are
Yeah.
like boys, man. But
Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
was tough to watch. Like I said, I shed a couple of tears, man. It was just sitting there. And
I know
you
you're a fan and you've sort of connected with a couple of these guys now. So I'm glad
yeah,
that you got a chance to watch it, and thanks for supporting and ordering it. Just know, every penny that you spent, is not unnoticed. Like, excuse me, thanks for supporting the event and ordering. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, every single dollar went to like my boy's family. So like, I ordered like fucking 3 or 4 of them, even though I helped put it together, because I was just like, every fucking single penny's going to this to his family. You know what I mean? So it was a good event. Brian, did you watch it at all? No.
No, I didn't see it.
Got you. You're not a good friend. But I'm fucking around. Yeah, man, it was a beautiful event, man. It was phenomenal to see Jin come back was
that was
cool.
cool.
Um,
And
yeah,
Ilmax pathogen line was one of the
fire,
greatest lines of all time. Like I
fire.
texted that to Brian. Brian was just like
Yeah.
he's one, and I've said this before. I don't care if I come off as like a big fan. I think Ilmax like one of the greatest writers to ever live. I really do.
Bro, he had a line versus Jin.
Unbelievable.
He had a line he never even said versus Jin, which is he was like, then you sound a Rough Riders so facetious, thought you would blow up. But the only thing you did learn Chinese, but the only thing you taught us how to say was broken English. And I love that broken English. And I was like, oh my God, why didn't you say that? You know what I mean? Because I thought that line was really cool. But yeah, it was an amazing moment. And yeah, it just showed me that there are things bigger than uh the shit that we tend to focus on. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to be the best version of themselves and we're so individualized. But like when you lose your friend that like cheers you up and whatever, like you start to realize, man, all this other shit's just like, it's just, yeah, man. Like nothing beats, like you guys could never achieve any of your goals, but like you could achieve all
Don't
your
worry, we won't. Don't worry.
well, look, here's the thing. You could achieve all your goals, and I'm not saying it's one or the other, but if you could achieve all your goals, but then lose a friendship, the goals would never mean shit. Like you're like, like, oh man, me and Brian had a fallout and I'm successful now, and so is Brian, but we're not friends. It's just not worth it. And case exhibit A, Mason Cameron. I watched their fucking sports show. Cameron looks like he's having a religious experience. He's smiling, he's laughing. Mason him are cracking jokes. They're going to things. These guys grew up together. The business came in. They both separated because of whatever nonsense. Now they're friends again after all this time, and they grew up together. They haven't talked since the horse and carriage video. You know what I mean? Like that's how long ago it's been since they haven't had a real, conversation. And now here they are, best friends again. And it's like, the success doesn't mean as much as them. Look how happy Cameron looks. I don't know if you watched that sports show. Have y'all seen that show?
I know they do it. I haven't watched it yet. I know.
Bro, you seen it, Brian?
Yeah.
Bro,
just the way that he acts on the whole thing, like you could tell it's genuine.
Brian, I try to explain it to people who haven't watched it. You could probably add 2 cents. How doesn't Cameron look like the happiest guy in the world?
No, he really does. And it's funny because when he makes appearances on other shit, like he just seems better.
Right. You get your friend back, man, and it's like all these $1 million in business doesn't matter with this buddy you grew up with, play basketball with at 9, 10 years old, 11, 12, 13, 14. Then all of a sudden, y'all both 18-year-old superstars, and then y'all don't talk no more. Now y'all in your fucking mid-40s, and you get your teenage friend back. And it's like, think about this. Cameron and Mace, Brian and Scott, have basically missed out on their 20s and 30s with each other. And in their mid-40s, they're having a love fest. You guys never separated that bond.
No.
So it's like, that's a success.
Yeah.
Cam and Mace have not been happy. Every interview they do, they talk about how bitter and miserable they are. Now they're in their mid-40s and they're happy again. So it's like, that's the whole connection thing. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I sometimes envy that, like, like you and Brian like sort of grew up together. You used to be the water boy. He was the star quarterback, you know.
Actually,
And
actually, it's kind of actually I was a quarterback, but go on.
yeah. Anyways, in high school, not in junior high school, when you took a year off because you're Michael Jordan. You know, he decided
I
to
took
go
a year off and just got fat and then never went back.
This motherfucker took a year off in his teenage prime. He's like, I need a break. I've been carrying the load at 14. I can't do this no more.
My
Been
dad,
carrying the load since I was 9.
my dad told me you'll never play again. And I was like, oh yeah, I will. And I never played again. He was right.
Yeah.
He was
Yeah.
right. But you know,
but
go on.
No. But I was just gonna say, like, you know, with all the shit that y'all been through, you know, it's sometimes it's cool to do something with people you fuck with on any scale. I told y'all the first time I came on here, just for cool to serve yourself intrinsically, than it is to do important shit with people you don't fuck with.
Yeah.
You know, it sucks. I've lost almost every Scott, and like the way you and Brian are, everybody who was connected to me early in my journey, they're disconnected to me in a way where I don't know if they hold something against me that's going to go public, but I don't know if they hold something against me because I kept on with it, and maybe I hold something against them because they didn't move the way I wanted them to move, and maybe we're just impulsive. But like I have some broken relationships, and some, by the way, mega supportive of me, but they're not on my journey either. You know what I'm saying? And I wish they were on the journey with me. So, you know, that's why I tell you guys, just have fun, man. Enjoy this shit. It doesn't matter. All the other shit is extra shit.
I agree. Everything else is a bonus. Nino, we'll let you go here. Appreciate you.
Have a good one.
We'll definitely keep in touch. Try to get you on for some
sure.
shit. And I have to eat crow because I text you and said the Knicks in 4 and they're down 3-1 in the series.
Hey man, it's all good. Phillies I'm watching a game now. The Sixers are blowing out the Celtics.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're up by 20 points with like 4 minutes left.
And before we stop making music, Nino, I guarantee we will eventually do a song together because our charm is just too tough to resist. But it is.
Yeah, look, I would probably charge you like at least $150 because you know what I mean, dog food for the like 2 months. So you know, I'll charge you guys something to like, you know, something to where I could send my mom gambling money. You know.
Oh, that's true. You can buy her a gift for your birthday next year. So
yeah, look, this is gonna go public. Look, well, yo, my mom is like an obsessive like gambler, and like half of the business, I'm in Canada right now to make some money for me, but also gambling money for my mom. Like that's part of this trip, yo.
Crazy. My mom won $10,000 on a $2 scratch off a couple months ago.
That's incredible.
Shut the fuck up.
Swear to God,
that's incredible.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's incredible.
I didn't get much of it, but she was like,
how much did she get? Yo, how much did she get to keep of that?
7,500.
How much?
So 7,500.
That's nothing to scoff at.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. But all right, Nino, thanks a lot, man. Ellie, bye. And
Ellie, have a good one, Ellie. Scott, Brian, holla, man.
Hey,
Brian, text me whenever. Bye, Ellie. Have a good one.
All right, man.
All right, guys.